Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 3, episode 15. On today's episode, I'll be doing my very quick segment called No Huddle, where I just give my quick takes on different topics. And following that, we are midway through the season, so I'm gonna tell you my biggest surprise and my biggest disappointment so far through the season. And then after that, I'm gonna talk about how the sky is falling in Dallas. And at the end of this episode, I'm gonna give y'all my best play that I saw from week 9. All right, but before I get into any of that, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning, allow me to talk about sports, which is something that I love to do. And without Him, I would not be here right now. So let's go ahead and let's get straight to the point. All right. Here we go. The no huddle segment. Okay. No huddle. We all know in football games when you're down 7 or you're down 3 and you only got a minute or a minute and 30 or even 45 seconds on the clock, you got to run no huddle. You don't have time to get in the huddle and call a play. You got to keep things going. So we'll keep things going through this segment and talk about 3 really quick topics. All right. First on board is Dennis Allen fired for losing to the Panthers, the New Orleans Saints head coach. This team started off 2-0, then they lost 7 straight games, guys. Look, when you lose 7 straight games, somebody got to get the finger pointed at. And it was Dennis Allen they got the finger pointed at. Look, it really, you can't argue that they dealt with injuries because ever since they went 2-0, they started dealing with a bunch of injuries. Okay, Chris Olave's missed some games. You look at Rashid Shaheed, he's out for the season. On defense, a lot of guys have missed time. So honestly, you can say that this team this season was doomed by injuries. But at the end of the day, you can't lose to the Carolina Panthers. Like that shows me that you was not prepared. That shows me that you was not coached up well enough. No matter who you have, you should be able to beat the worst team in the league, right? So because they couldn't get that done, they also lost 7 straight. Dennis Allen, you got to go. And from the Saints fans that I know, I'm hearing that this is the right move. Nobody's saying they shouldn't have fired Dennis Allen. Nobody's fighting for him. So that lets me know that he was not bringing the best out of his team, and he was not a really good head coach, all right? Next, we got the Commanders. Look at the trade deadline on Tuesday. They made a splash move, all right? They went and they traded for the 2017 first-round pick, Marshawn Lattimore, who's also a 4-time Pro Bowler, okay? Just talked about the Saints. Well, the Saints, because they're 2-7, they're starting to sell. Not only that, but they got a lot of bad things going on with their cap room and all of that. It's a bunch of bad things going on in New Orleans, so they're selling. They sold Marshawn Lattimore, and the Commanders jumped on it. Look, the Commanders sent them a 3rd-round pick, a 4th-round pick, and a 6th. And they received Marshawn Lattimore and a 5th. Look, Baltimore Ravens, this is how you get better. This is how you get better, okay? You look at the weakest side of the ball, which is the Commanders' defense. You look at the weakest aspect of that side of the ball, which is the secondary, and you add an elite talent to the secondary. This is how you get better. You don't go and add a receiver when you need help on the defensive side of the ball. That's what Baltimore did when they traded for Deontay Johnson. I think that was a dumb trade. But this right here, this is how you get better. I respect this move. The defense was bad. They got a lockdown corner in Marshawn Lattimore, which is going to help this defense. All right. So great job by the Washington Commanders. And last but not least, the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay, made 2 moves on Tuesday. They went and traded for Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick. Mike Williams, who I was excited for as he went to the Jets to play with Aaron Rodgers. Things kind of didn't really work out there. Not only that, but they went and they got Devontae Adams. So Mike Williams not getting no targets. So the Steelers went and they got him, okay? The Steelers have been looking for a number 2 receiver throughout this whole entire year. Even in the offseason, when they tried to acquire Brandon Ayuk, they wanted a number 2 to go beside George Pickens. So as of right now, you have George Pickens. Then you have a plethora of players. You got Calvin Austin, you got Van Jefferson, you got Pat Fryermuth, you got a bunch of different options that kind of combines for a number 2. Right? With Russell Wilson, you don't really need an all-star lineup at the receiver position, but it never hurts when you add talent to the receiver position. And Mike Williams is a good receiver. The only problem that he's had in his career is injuries. And I think with this 5th-round pick, if he does get hurt, God forbid, then I believe it's still a good move because you only lost a 5th-round pick. But if he stays healthy, then the Steelers have another target for Russell Wilson, which is great. But their other move that they made, and I like this move a lot more, was adding Preston Smith, okay, outside linebacker from the Green Bay Packers, who's a pretty good pass rusher, okay? The Steelers, of course, they have good pass rushers, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Nick Herbig. But Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith at one point this season was both hurt at the same time, which means with T.J. Watt and a bunch of rotating pieces out there, right? That can't happen. So you add Preston Smith, you add depth to this pass rush. So now if Nick get hurt, God forbid, if Alex Highsmith get hurt, God forbid, if TJ Watt goes down, God forbid, then you'll have Preston Smith, who's a pretty good talent. I'm not going to say he's elite, but he's definitely not average. I say between elite and between average And I think that he can add that depth that this team needs at that edge rushing position. It just makes them deeper at that position, which is great. All right, so that is it for our no huddle segment. Okay, so like I said, we are midway through the season. So I want to give y'all my biggest surprise and my biggest disappointment. I think the biggest surprise this far got to be the Washington Commanders. Okay, nobody thought the Commanders were going to come out here and be 7-2 at this point. Not a soul. Nobody on TV looked at this Commanders team and said they're going to be 7-2. Nobody thought they would be first in their division right now, playing alongside the Eagles. And then those who believed in the Cowboys, they definitely didn't think that the Commanders would be number one. This is a total shocker to me. And I even did my NFL tiers a couple weeks ago, and I said this team is destined to fall because I think their record is better than they actually are. Their defense is bad, right? Which is why they went out and they added Marshawn Lattimore at that cornerback position because their secondary is horrible. But offensively, Jaden Daniels is doing a lot with the little, if that makes sense. All right, he's doing a lot with just Terry McLaurin and then a bunch of, to me, average players. We have Brian Robinson at the running back position, who I like, but he's been in and out the lineup this year with injuries. You have Austin Eckler, who I think is past his prime, but you really don't have great weapons. And you have Zach Ertz, who's also past his prime, but Jaden Daniels is doing a lot with the little. So I got to give him credit for that. And people actually have Jaden Daniels in the MVP conversation, not just Offensive Rookie of the Year, but the MVP conversation, right? Because he came into the league and took this bad team, this bad franchise, and he has taken them to being first in the division at 7-2. Now the season's not over. We got a long way to go. Do I think they'll be able to sustain what they've done? No. Heck no. I don't. I do not. I think the Commanders will fall off eventually, just like I think the Vikings will fall off eventually. But when I look at this Commanders team, I got to give them credit. I got to give them credit when credit is due. All right, you're 7-2 through the midway point. Nobody saw this coming. Jaden Daniels, you're having a great, phenomenal year, and you're showing us that you are the guy in Washington. Washington fans have belief, right? They believe now in this team because you have brought that life to this team. So I got to give them credit when credit is due, and that's the biggest surprise this far. But the biggest disappointment on the flip side got to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, nobody thought the Bengals would be third in the division right now and be 4-5, and nobody thought their 4 wins would come against the Raiders, the Panthers, the Giants, and the Browns. Those are the 4 teams that this team has beaten, right? So to me, nobody thought that we would be having this conversation of can they beat good teams? Because we all thought they was an elite team coming into this year. My very first NFL tiers that I did to start the season off, I had them in the no injury, no problem tier. Because as long as they stayed healthy, I thought they was going to be able to be way above 500 for sure. But they would be fighting for number one in the division, fighting for number one in the conference, I thought. Right? As a Steelers fan, I thought the Steelers were going to win the division this year, which they're leading the division right now, but I thought Cincinnati would be the one to win it if Pittsburgh did it. And Cincinnati was the team that I was most scared of going into this year because of Joe Burrow, because of Jamar Chase, because of T. Higgins. Now, T. Higgins has been banged up a little bit, but that's no excuse to lose to the Patriots week 1. I don't want to hear that. That's no excuse to lose to me, a Commanders team that's overachieving. Right, so I think we can't just say T. Higgins been hurt because you have Jamar Chase. You have a top 5 receiver, arguably top 3 receiver in the league. And so when T. Higgins is out, to me, that's not a good enough excuse to why this team is not looking as good as it's supposed to look. And defensively, I think we all underestimated how bad they were on defense. I think coming into this year, we all thought that this team could outscore their opponents and the defense have to do very minimal, right? But the defense can't do anything. So the games that we've seen Joe Burrow have crazy games, right? Throw for 4 touchdowns, I believe, against the Commanders. 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns against the Commanders, and they lost that game, right? So Joe Burrow is having great games this year, and they're still losing. Against the Baltimore Ravens, Joe Burrow threw 5 touchdowns, right? Threw over 400 yards, and they still lost that game because the defense couldn't get a stop. So to me, this team is the biggest disappointment because everybody had them at least win the division, for sure getting to the AFC Championship, right? I had Jared going during we did the NFL vault, and he said the biggest threat to Mahomes is Joe Burrow. Well, Joe Burrow can't be the biggest threat to Mahomes if they don't make the playoffs. And as of right now, I'm telling y'all, they're not going to make the playoffs. I have no belief in this team. Ooh, they beat the Raiders last Sunday. oh, like everybody think they're getting back on track. No, you're beating bad teams, which you've been doing all year, and you're going against the Baltimore Ravens tonight, and I'm sure they're going to lose this game because they can't get a stop on defense. No matter how big of a game Joe Burrow has, no matter how big of a game Jamar Chase has, this defense cannot make stops, which is a problem. And there's also been games where we saw Joe Burrow and this offense look average. Like against Cleveland, they won that game, but the offense did not look that good. The final score like 21-14, and they actually scored 7 points off the kick return. So this team has not. It's 1 week the offense looked good, defense looked bad. 1 week the offense looked bad, defense looks good, and that's only against the Giants and the Browns, right? And then some weeks both sides of the ball look bad, and you look at the Patriots game, where they lost to the Patriots. And when they lost to the Commanders, a lot of people blaming Joe Burrow for that. I don't see why, but Joe Burrow got blamed for that because he got outplayed by a rookie. So they got to be the biggest disappointment thus far through midway through the season. All right. Next, I want to talk about Dallas real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it because to me, Dallas is the most talked about team in all of sports because they are America's team, quote unquote, America's team. It's not because of how good they are. It's because they're America's team. This year, they've been getting a lot of airtime on First Take and on First Things First. A lot of these shows that I watch when they don't deserve airtime, right? This is a 3-5 team that's just not good. But we continue to talk about them because they're Dallas Cowboys. They're going to bring the viewership in. No matter how bad they are, no matter how good they are, they're going to get the viewership. So let me go ahead and talk about Dallas so I can get some viewership. All right. So with Dallas, man, they're 3-5 right now. And this is a team that my very first year doing the podcast, I came out and I said, you have to get rid of Dak Prescott. If you want to go anywhere near the Super Bowl, you got to get rid of Dak Prescott. Okay, the Dallas Cowboys, this is a unique situation because every year it's Super Bowl or bust. Every single year. And it's because of Jerry Jones, right? Jerry Jones wants another Super Bowl before it's all said and done, right? Before he retires or, God forbid, before he passes away. He wants another Super Bowl, right? He's old. He's up there in age. He wants to end it off with a ring. So because of that, and because Jerry Jones is not just some average owner, he is one of the most known owner, right? The most popular owner in the league. There's pressure, and he's the owner of the most popular team in the league. So there's pressure every year to go and get a Super Bowl. But Dak Prescott has shown y'all that in the playoffs he's going to fold, right? In the playoffs he's going to let you down. It's only a matter of time, right? We've seen seasons where Dak Prescott looks good throughout the whole entire season and gets to the playoffs and he wets the bed. And now we're seeing a season this year which Dak Prescott does not look that good. And yes, he just went down with injury last week, so praying for a speedy recovery. I'll never wish no injury on nobody. But with Dak Prescott leading up to the injury, he did not play well this year at all. I can tell you the numbers right now. Okay, through 7 games, I'm not going to count last game because he got hurt, so the numbers are messed up a little bit. But through 7 games, he has 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Okay? When you go on Google and look up the highest paid player in NFL history, Dak Prescott's name pops up. That's a problem to me because after, I believe it was right before game 1 this year, right before when they played Cleveland, week 1, they paid him the biggest contract ever. Okay, and through 7 games, he has 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. All right, I have to go through 8 games, right? So even including last game, I have to include last game because I can't break up everybody. So in the whole entire league, he's 10th in touchdowns. He's 5th in interceptions. That's not highest paid football player ever numbers. It's not. That is not what that equates to, okay? 10th in touchdowns is okay. But it's not highest paid player. And then 5th in interceptions, you're turning the ball over. That's not highest paid player as attributes either. So when I'm looking at Dak Prescott, I'm thinking, Jerry Jones, why did you pay him all this money? I've been saying, like I said, since my very first podcast season, you got to get rid of Dak Prescott. And what did you do? You did the opposite. You locked him in and gave him the biggest contract ever. What makes you think that he's going to get you to where you want to go, Jerry? I don't get it. Dak Prescott's not the answer. Okay, and he's not leading a good offense either. We all look at the quarterback. We look at offenses. We look at the quarterback because the quarterback is the leader of the offense. The quarterback is what get everything going. This offense is averaging 21.4 points per game this year. That is 20th in the NFL. All right, they're behind teams like the Saints, a team where Derek Carr hurt the past. Well, he came back this past week. Before that, he was out 3-4 weeks, and Spencer Rattler was in there, and that offense looked bad. It looked horrible, and they're still behind the Saints. They're behind the Bears. Caleb Williams, first game one this year, had 93 passing yards. Right? We saw him struggle against the Cardinals, right? Caleb Williams is having an up and down year, and he's still averaging more points. Their offense is still averaging more points than the Cowboys. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars, arguably one of the worst teams in all of football, led by Trevor Lawrence, who also got paid a big bag, and he didn't deserve that either. They're getting outscored by that team as well. So you paid Dak to be the highest paid player in the NFL because you believe, the only reason you pay somebody that much money is because you believe that they can take you to where you want to go. They can take you to the promised land. They are the guy. And not only that, but it's also what they've done in the past leading up to now that makes you believe that I should pay you moving forward. And to me, he has not done anything to be the highest paid player in the NFL history. Right, because that kind of goes back. It's a whole different conversation. I'm not gonna get too deep into it, but this is my stance on the whole next man up gets paid rule. That mess that's going on in the NFL. Every quarterback that gets paid is getting paid more than the previous quarterback that got paid. That doesn't make sense. You should be getting paid based off your talent, not based on the market, not based on what Tua got paid. That shouldn't matter. I'm paying Trevor Lawrence based on what Trevor Lawrence has done. I should not be making him the highest paid player in the NFL. That should not happen. At one point this year, Trevor Lawrence was the highest paid player in all of football, or the highest paid quarterback for sure. And then when Dak Prescott comes up, that does not mean we got to pay you more than whoever just got paid. That's not. I don't know why. I don't know why that is what it is, but it's stupid to me because you're paying guys that don't need to be getting paid like that. You're securing guys that are not going to help your team win. And Dak Prescott is 3-5 right now. Just got hurt. He's out a couple of weeks, but just went through 8 games. He's 3-5, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions through 7 games because he got hurt last game. That's not highest paid player ever numbers. All right, so to me, the sky is falling in Dallas because you're stuck under Dak Prescott. You're stuck. You just paid him that big bag. You're going to keep him here. And as long as Dak Prescott, as long as number 4 is in Dallas, you have a chance of winning nothing. Nothing. You also just paid CeeDee Lamb a big bag. Now you got to pay Michael Parsons a big bag. I hope their salary cap is good. I'm not really, I don't know about all that, right? I hope their salary cap is good, but you got 3 max players on your team, and the rest of your team is not that good. So how are you going to acquire more talent outside the draft? I don't know. Jerry Jones don't do that anyways. He don't ever acquire talent outside of the draft. This year, this offseason, he did nothing. Nothing to this team to improve it. This team was a first-round exit last year, and he did nothing to them. So they're playing the way that y'all came into the season. Y'all came into this season bad because y'all kept the same roster from last year. Guess what? The season's going to be bad. So far, they're 3-5. So far, they are at the bottom of the league in terms of skill. Like, this team is just not good. And nowhere I look on this team do I say, man, that aspect of this team is nice. The run game is nice. No, it's not. The pass game is nice. No, it's not. The pass defense is nice. No, it's not. And that run defense is definitely not nice. I understand Michael Parsons has been hurt. And now you definitely got to pay Michael Parsons because he's showing that y'all need him on that defense. But even when he was there, the run defense was still bad. So to me, the sky is falling in Dallas. All right, Jerry Jones has made a big mess, and I don't think he'll be able to clean it up. I think you got to ride these next couple years out with Dak, and then hopefully, if Jerry's still running things, they can go find somebody else. Because I told y'all not to pay this man. Y'all did, and now look where you are. All right. Last but not least, like I said, it's going to be a quick episode. I'm going to get y'all out of here with the best thing I saw in week 9. Okay, the best thing I saw by far was Garrett Wilson's catch against the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Look, bringing Devontae Adams over creates one-on-one coverage, and this is what he does. That is look, that is one of the best catches I've seen in my life. Like, Odell is up there. What George Pickens did a couple years ago is up there, but this is right there at number 3, if not number 2. The fact that he got the ball with one hand, then got the shin down. The shin. He got his shin. Like, that's how much, I'm not going to say luck, but that's how crazy this play was. They had to get his shin down to get that touchdown, and he did. right? So Garrett Wilson, I'm just looking at the catch, right? Because people will argue him getting the shin down was luck. He ain't intentionally put his shin down. But that catch got to be top three that I've ever seen. Like I said, Odell up there, George Pickens up there, and then Garrett Wilson got to be up there for number three. So that's the best thing I saw in week 9. And that is it for today's episode. Told y'all I'm going to get y'all in. I'm going to get y'all out of here. All right, y'all stay blessed. Tonight, the Ravens play the Bengals. I'm going with the Ravens. Like I said earlier, I don't think the Bengals are a good team. I don't think the Ravens defense is good at all, but they're better than the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, but y'all make sure y'all lock in and watch this week. Football on Sunday, well, tonight and on Sunday. Also, I'm going to be dropping my episode on Saturday talking about my picks and my bets for this upcoming Sunday. And not only that, but guys, it's already week 10. Already. Right? Like, I feel like I just did my NFL tiers 2 days ago. Like, that's how fast this year has gone. So make sure y'all lock in and make sure y'all watch football and enjoy it. Because when it's gone, it's gone. We all know how rough and miserable the offseason is. So make sure y'all enjoy it. All right, y'all stay blessed. Much love. I'm out.